Okay, so we have the word problem. Jeanette invested a total of $18,000 in 3 different mutual funds. She invested, and so on. And so this is a system of equations, and we're asked to write this in 3 variables. So since it's going to be 3 variables, that means I need 3 equations. So I'm going to pull 3 different equations from this. Okay, so looking at this, when I'm reading it, it's talking about investing a total of $18,000 in different mutual funds. This is an investment problem. So I'm going to set up my little box equation that I always set up for investment problems. And if my Sharpie would work, that would be great. Okay. So since I need 3 equations, I need 3 variables. And looking at this, I'm talking about, okay, so she invested in a bond fund, and then she invested in an aggressive growth fund, and third, an international fund. Okay, so let X equal, let's say, maybe the bond fund. So bond fund. Let's let Y equal the maybe aggressive growth fund. So aggressive and growth fund. So X, Y, and we need Z. So Z can equal the international fund. So I'm going to shorten that, fund. Okay, so now I have my 3 variables all labeled up nicely. So let's fill in our chart. So the formula is interest equals principal times the rate times the time. Okay. And I need this for 3 quantities. Okay, so let's do. So the principal is the amount that I'm putting in for these funds, so X, Y, Z. Now I need to fill out the rates at which they were invested. So let's see, the bond fund was invested at 4%, okay? And these are all talking about the first year, so the time is going to be 1 in years. Okay, so back to that. So my bond fund was invested at 4%. So 4%. My aggressive fund was invested at 8%. Okay, and then so looking at this, we see that the international fund was, return, so 2% for the international fund. And one thing you want to notice is when I'm reading this, it says the aggressive growth fund lost 8%, okay? So we're going to keep that in mind, that we lost that amount. Okay, so first things first, I need to figure out from these sentences different ways I can relate my variables. So when I read my first sentence, I see that Jeanette invested a total of $18,000. That means the amount that she invested for the bond fund, and the amount she invested for the aggressive fund, and the amount for the, international fund, is all together going to equal $18,000. And I know how to write that as an equation. Okay, so now I need to find 2 more equations. So let's read this. So she invested in a bond fund that returned $4,000 for the first year, an aggressive growth fund that lost this much for the year, nothing much there. Jeanette invested $2,000 more in the growth fund than the other 2 funds. Okay, so we know that the growth fund, so X, the growth fund. Oh, the aggressive growth fund, that's what I was talking about. Okay, so the aggressive growth fund is going to be $2,000 more than the other 2 funds. So I can write that as an equation. The aggressive growth fund is, right there's my is going to be $2,000 more than the other 2. So more than X plus Z. Okay, good, I've got 3 equations down. Okay, so I need 1 more. Here we go. If she had a net loss of negative $540 for the year, how much invest in each fund? Okay, so the loss, that means her investments are going to equal 5,400. Okay, so her investments, okay, so I need to fill this column out. So investment equals principal times the rate times the time. So that's going to be 4 over 100 times x. And then this one's going to be 8 over 100 times y. I'm writing it this way because I shouldn't be using percents while I'm writing equations. You could write this as a decimal if you wanted to. So, and then this one's going to be 2 over 100 times z. Okay, so now I know that these ones added together should give me negative 540. Okay, so 4 over 100 times x. Okay, now we have to be careful because we know that the 8% one was she lost money during this time, okay? So, because she lost it, we're going to subtract that. So, minus the 8 over 100 y plus the 2 over 100 z will give me the negative 540. Okay, so now I finally have my system. 3 variables and 3 equations. These are not set up nicely yet, so I'm going to set these up in the x, y, z form. So I will simplify that, and I will get x plus y plus z equals 18,000. Then moving these over, I get minus x minus, oops, sorry, that should be plus y. Sorry about that. That'd be plus y minus z equals 2,000. And then, okay, so I am going to simplify this to get rid of all those hundreds right there and multiply both sides by 100. Okay, so doing that, I get 4x minus 8y equals negative 54,000. Okay, so I actually rewrite that real quick because that's really ugly. So x plus y plus z equals 18,000 minus x plus y minus z equals 2,000, and 4x minus 8y. Ah, see, look, I left it out. Plus 2z equals negative 54,000. I've forgotten that. I'd left out this in this equation. Okay, so this is the right equation with the 2z. Okay, so now that's all done. So my step 1 for solving these is going to be pair off and cancel the z's. Okay, so I like to pair the easiest one, which looks kind of like it might be this one. I'm going to pair this one with the other two. So using the top one, I get minus x plus y minus c equals 2,000. And I'll pair that with this equation. 4x minus 8y plus 2z equals negative 54,000. And then I will repair this one with the top equation. So x plus y plus z equals 18,000. And negative x plus y minus c equals 2,000. Okay, so right away for this equation, we see that we could just add the equations to cancel the z's. So I'm going to do that. Now you want to be careful on this step because you need to cancel the same variable in both of these. You can't cancel x and then z in this one, because then you'll just end up with 2 equations with 3 variables, and that doesn't help us. Okay, so adding that, we cancel, and we get that, ooh, look at that. The x's cancel too. So we get 2y equals 20,000, and y, wow, so y equals 10,000. Awesome, we already found one. Okay, so looking at this equation, I want to cancel my z's, which means I'm going to multiply this one by 2, so I can have both of these with 2z. So I'll multiply, oops, both of these equations by 2. Sorry, that's really ugly. And I get minus 2x plus 2y minus 2z equals 4,000. And 4x minus 8y Let me see. Okay, plus 2z equals negative 54,000. Okay, so now I can add these equations and cancel out the z's. So adding this, I get 2x minus 6y, the z's cancel, equals negative 50,000. Okay, awesome. That is my other equation. Okay, so step 2. Pair the new equations and solve for x and y. Of course, we already have y solved there, but that's just the general step. Okay, so my new system is 2x minus 6y equals negative 50,000. Y equals 10,000. Okay, so notice in this step, I have 2 equations and 2 variables. That's what I want to have. Okay, and since we already solved for y, we can use substitution. So, subbing y in, I get 2x minus 6 times my y value, which is 10,000 equals negative 50,000. So 2x minus 60,000 equals negative 50,000. Adding 60,000 to both sides, I get 2x equals 10,000. Solving for x, I can divide by 2. I get x equals 5,000. Awesomeness. Okay, so I found y and I found x. My last and final step is, to solve. Step 3. Solve for z and write answer. Okay, well normally in the normal step you'd write your answer as x, y, z. But because this is a word problem, we're going to have an actual sentence in the end. Okay, so let's see. My original equation, if I go back up to the top, I have, let's see, this nice equation right here, where everything's kind of small numbers. So I'm going to plug my values of x and my values of y into this equation to find z. Okay. So, let's see. So y equals, what equation was I using? Y equals 2,000 plus x plus z. Okay, so y was 10,000. So that equals 2,000 plus my x value was 5,000 plus z. Okay. So that means I'm going to end up with, let's see, so 7,000 plus z, 10,000. Okay. So, subtracting 7,000 from both sides, I get 3,000 equals z. Okay, so a sentence could be, let's say, so this was Janet. So she invested, let me see, x was 5,000. So 5,000 in the bond fund. Y was the aggressive growth. So 10,000, the aggressive, that's 2 G's, aggressive growth fund. And last but not least, 3,000, units here. $3,000 in the international fund. Okay, and that's it. Those are the steps we follow. So, step 1, pair off and cancel z's. Step 2, pair the new equations we got from canceling the z's and solve for x and y. And step 3, solve for z and write your answers x, y, and z. Or if it's a word problem, write it in a sentence.